What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 68 of Trading Camp Pod TCP. About to get underway. Super excited to be back with yet another phenomenal trader. Excited to get to know Casey, better known as CS Trades, who's on the podcast with us this evening. Not so much evening where he's currently located. We'll get into that. But before we do, Diamond Trades, what's going on?
Alejandro, what is going on? Super excited, like you said, to have Casey on the pod. Highly requested guest. I've been getting some requests for a while now to get him on the pod, and felt it was finally time. He's definitely been putting in the work, and so I'm excited to dive into what's made him so successful over the past couple of months.
Super pumped. Let's get into it. Casey, welcome to the show, my man.
What's up? Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining us. So, you are live from Hawaii.
Ooh, yeah.
Crazy stuff. So, the only other person we are friends with or have interviewed from Hawaii is Frank and Beans, who's another really good trader. I don't know if you're familiar
that guy's
with him.
unreal.
Yeah, he is something else. He's like the heavy hitter. Everybody loves him. But you were telling us before we started recording, you're up super early in the morning trading. 3:30 in the morning, you said, right?
Yeah, that's when the market opens. So kind of got to be up for that opening bell, right?
Oh man, that's
can't
crazy.
Just sleep in and come in for the second half.
Yeah, so then market closes at 10 a.m. So you have the entire day. Dude, I mean, first off, that alone takes a lot of dedication. Like, you gotta want to do it. Like, how many of your buddies are like, you know, are you getting up at like 2:30 to trade? Like, you probably say that to your friends. Like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, dude, I got a lot of brothers. I can't get any of them to trade. Like, I'm like, nah, dude, you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up with me. Like, this is where it's at. And they're like, dude, you couldn't pay me $1 million to be getting up at 3:30 a.m. every morning.
Yeah. So you were saying
it takes a lot of dedication at first when you're getting into it.
Yeah. So for anybody who's like working a full-time job, it's like working 2 full-time jobs because you're trading, you're up super early in the morning. The market closes, like by the close, you're on the way to like whatever job it is you're working, like your 9 to 5. It's like, for me, it was like, you try to trade when you can, like at work, but everything is like, mixing and matching, but you could do both at the same time, like pretty full on.
So it's kind of like a give and take, starting out, you're getting to get the hours of a full-time trader if you want them, but then you're following it with another 8-hour shift right after, which is a long ass day,
Yeah.
By the end you're smoked, but
especially if you lose money. Imagine you lose a couple $1,000, then you walk into work pissed off. Everybody's
that's almost not even that bad for somebody who's just learning, because you're bound to lose money, and then it's like, at least I've got a job where it's like back.
It goes both ways, because that was me for a long time. Like, you're getting up, you're trading at 3 a.m. to like 9, you're losing a couple $100, and then you're going into work to make a couple $100 just to break even on like a 18-hour day,
Yeah.
So like, if you're not serious about it and like ready to get your stuff together and actually learn how, that's going to get old real quick and you're not going to last. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
It's kind of motivated me to really take it seriously,
Yeah.
Like, if you're waking up that early to do something and you're losing money, like, you're fixing that problem real quick.
Right. All right, so let's dive straight into it, man. Tell us about your trading career, your journey so far, how you got started trading and how you got to where you are today.
Just basically, I didn't even know what trading was or have anything to do with the stock market in general till I was about 30 years old. That's when I met my girlfriend, and she was kind of really big on trading. And this was even before the whole COVID era and like the whole retail trader kind of exploded, So I met her and I would kind of see what she was doing, and I was just kind of interested in that. She would be like doing these little swing trades and stuff, making a couple $100 on her phone. And for me, like, I'm just working 8-hour days, for that same amount. So I immediately was like, oh yeah, that's something I'm interested in, like teach me how to do that a little bit. So she kind of showed me how, like, at least as far as like working an app and like getting into it a little bit, And then from there, it was just like kind of took over. I realized what was possible really quick. And from there, it was just like, okay, I'm going to give this my all. Like, this is my chance. I didn't go to college. I have no college degree. Like, it's someone like me sees trading as like their way out, it's the level playing field. Like, so anybody can come in, learn how to do this, and we're all equal. Like, I'm all for that. I'm a competitive guy. If I see somebody like doing really well trading, like, I'm thinking I can do it too, which I think is half the battle.
I
So
love that.
it just kind of started with that, and then just kind of slowly started building my account up as best I could, losing money on the way. That was about 6 months before COVID hit. Then COVID hit, and what started out as seeming like the stock market was dead. You know how it was just like, who cares about stocks? Like COVID hit, like the world's ending, dude. And then it just turned out to be the best thing ever for stock traders. So that year I actually did really well, just like most people who were trading at that time, right? Like, so that gave me like the buffer in my account to kind of learn how properly while I was blowing it at the same time, which was really nice. Like, anybody swinging penny stocks during the COVID era was like making a lot of money, like you're starting with $2,000, you're ending that year with like 50 grand and not even knowing what you're doing. So that's kind of how I got my little buffered account to where I could make all these mistakes and not have to like keep investing my own money, because that alone will probably deter a lot of traders. Like, you can't just keep funneling in money from your paycheck, especially me. I had none, So like, I started my first account with my tax return and then just kind of grew it from there. That was it. All uphill from there. Like, I'm serious. When it comes to trading, like, I'm taking it serious,
I think one of the it's funny that you say that anybody who was swing trading penny stocks during 2020 was making a ton of money, because I lost a fuck ton of money in penny stocks in 2020.
Oh, did
so
you?
I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I just like could never like figure out the whole penny stock thing. So like for me, it was like that alone was for me, like, because you make a good point. Like, a lot of people who were trading penny stocks during that time, swinging whatever small caps, they were making a lot of money. And for me, I could never figure it out. And I was like, what's going wrong? And just like you had said, I'm like a competitive guy, and so that for me just like locked me in. And I was like, all right, well, clearly it's not me. If I see all these other folks out here making money, they're not smarter than me. So I just sort of shifted into options, and then that's where it sort of took off for me. It's funny how, like, during a time that really, I mean, in hindsight, obviously was really exciting and relatively easy to trade, particularly in the small cap world. I mean, I'm sure that I'm not alone in saying that I lost money during that time. So it's like, it's funny just how like perspective sort of plays into that, because like you said, that was a killer year for you, right? That 2020 year with the small caps. And, on the flip side of the coin, somebody like me, it just wasn't a great year in small caps, especially. So it was like, I don't know, it was weird. What sort of shifted you to options if the small cap trading was going so well? Because I know that, nowadays it seems like you particularly trade options. What got you into sort of the options part of your trading journey?
Basically, when I realized that stocks can go down, in 2020, they were just going up. And then when that kind of peaked, and then I kept looking to buy all these dips, like, you buy a dip towards the end of 2021 and the things just keep dipping, like, it didn't really matter what. If you were only trying to go long, the opportunities became so limited that you were blown. Like, you were losing money quick. All that money people made from COVID, they only knew how to go long. So they were giving it right back, and I was doing the same. So from there, it was like, I got into options, because basically just for puts, like, I want to buy puts on all these names. Like I want to ride the wave back down. So from there, I got into options, and then I kind of learned all about that. I kind of got too into it, learning about like just all the stuff you don't even need to know about, in my opinion. And just,
Are you referring to like Greeks?
yeah, Greeks, like everything like that. It's
Yeah.
just so overcomplicated for a new trader learning options.
Mhm.
So, and then eventually it just kind of turned into me only trading really SPY and QQQ, like up and down every day, just with the same simple strategy every single day. Like, and that's kind of when I really started finding my groove and realizing that like you can do this for a living. You can make money every single day. I mean, of course you have red days, but for the most part, it comes down to your mindset and your discipline and how well you're going to follow your strategy. If you can do that, like you're golden. If you can lose that like diamond hands mentality and stop being really biased and think you know what's going on, like the opportunities just are there for you. I really like day trading too. Like I don't hold I'm not a diamond hands kind of guy. I like to just get in and get out and be done with it, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that that came through the market changing? Was it the market that made you a not a diamond hands guy? Because
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
like
For sure.
2020, if you weren't, you were just missing out on
Yeah.
money.
Like I was waking up just like in awe of how much you made that day from the second you open your eyes, you know? Like I don't
Yeah.
know why I'm not even waking up at 3 to see what my swing is doing. I'm waking up at 9 and looking at my phone like, "Oh wow, you know,
Yeah.
I'm up 3 grand." And then
Yeah.
and then when that started going away on the flip side, you're waking up and you're red 3 grand, you know? And it's just brutal. Like it's so much worse waking up red. The pain of that is so much worse than the joy of waking up green, you know?
It's very true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just the market shift. Like I had to learn how to go short on these stocks.
So now you're primarily trading SPY QQQ,
Mhm.
primarily day trading. What does your strategy look like?
It's basically just like a very simple form of like supply and demand trading on like lower time frame supply and demand zones. You could basically just call them support and resistance if you want, like support and resistance zones. And it just basically revolves around that, showing you which way the market is going to go for the day. Like if it's going to chop, go up or down. That's basically the first thing you need to know. And then from there, I just use EMAs to kind of get in and out of those trends. And that's it. Like when you enter off the EMA, your stop loss can be really tight. You can ride the EMA up, you can ride it down. The little support and resistance zones are telling you like which way the market is headed for the most part. Like if we're breaking below yesterday's low, all the pops are getting shorted. If we break below yesterday's high, above yesterday's high, then it's like all the dips are getting bought, you know? So that's
Yeah.
basically what I base it off. So I start with the previous day's high and low, and then from there I just got my supply and demand zones above and below for price targets, and just use my little EMA strategy to ride it out, you know? It's like the most simple strategy in the world.
What is what does the time frames look like on your like entries and exits? Are you looking at
I like to trade them on the 2-minute chart.
okay,
Like I'm taking all my entries off the 2-minute chart.
got it.
So it pretty much starts from there.
Do you ever consult like higher time frames or not really?
Yeah, I'm using like the 15-minute to get those supply and demand zones. And then I'm like, as we chop around a little throughout the day, I'm looking at the 5 and the 10 and maybe the 15 to like find these bigger like bull and bear flags and all these little like consolidation patterns, you could say, just to kind of give you an idea of when the momentum is coming in. Because with options, especially 0 days, you can know where the market is heading and still lose, you know? Like you can't be holding through a half an hour of chop. So that's kind of where the patterns come in.
All right. So got a few questions here. The first one I'll ask for 0 days. Like you said, you don't want to hold through chop. Are there certain times during the day where you don't trade for that reason?
No, not really. I don't have any like specific times a day that I won't trade. I know it gets real slow during lunchtime, but you'll notice that in the moment. If there's momentum during lunchtime, like I'm going to trade it. I don't have like a no trade time, you know?
It's breakfast for you. You're
Yeah.
ready to go. You're
Same,
not.
same with
You're
the
not
open.
taking-
Like we all know, like before 10 a.m. Eastern time, like you can get faked out. There's that big trend change at 10 a.m. that usually happens. So like taking a trade before then, you know, it's a little riskier, but if the setup's there, I'll still take it. Just keeping that in mind, you know?
And so because you're trading on the lower time frames, are you basically scalping like quick in and out, or how long typically are you in a trade for?
Yeah, there can be like just a couple of 2-minute candles. It's like a short trade. That's a quick one. 0 days move so quick. I mean, that can be all you need if you're trading 0 days. So, but I would say the long ones can run like up to an hour or two if we're getting a nice trend.
On the
Yeah.
risk management,
I'm a scalper. It's definitely not like it doesn't fit all styles, but that's just kind of how I am.
on the risk management front, what does that look like in terms of stop loss and stop loss placement? Are you using like hard stops, or is it like I'll just watch and see if it breaks below this level or closes outside of this supplier demand zone, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm running hard stops on pretty much all of them. Like usually around the 20% max loss mark. If you enter, like if there's a trend and you're buying the pullbacks, that's plenty of room to see if you're right or wrong. Usually 20% on a 0 day. That's about the sweet spot. If it goes below that, you pretty much have to accept that you timed it wrong and just get out and reassess the situation, you know?
I like that you said you have to realize that you timed it wrong, not necessarily that your idea was wrong, right? It was more so
Yeah.
like it because like you said, when you're trading 0 days, it really is about that timing. Like you said, you can have the right idea on where the market's going to go, but the timing is the most important aspect of whether or not you're going to make money, or if you are going to make money, how much money you're going to make when you're trading 0 days. And so that's a great point, right? Like using that hard stop, I remember from my 0 day trading days that it's you don't like to do it because you're like, what if I get faked out, right? Like, what if it comes down and I get stopped out and then it bounces back up and it's gone, right? But I think that the way you put it really nicely is like, if you do get stopped out on that trade using whatever your predetermined stop loss is, 20-25%, you timed it wrong. It's not necessarily that the idea was wrong, but your timing on that entry for that particular instrument that you're trying to trade is wrong. You know that you need a precise entry on a 0 day. You know that, more or less 50 cents on SPY or Qs is going to be your buffer. Like, you have to take that into account if that's how you're going to trade, right? If you don't want to get stopped out, if you want to have a looser stop loss, maybe trade a different contract, maybe trade a different thing, right? But like, if that's what you're going to sign up for, if you're going to sign up for trading 0 days, you have to understand that as part of the risk.
100%. Like if you don't, you have to respect that. Just like you said, there's no question about it.
My question for you, Casey's, have you ever traded futures, or have you ever thought about trading futures? Because based on everything that you're saying, you would be a dog trading futures.
I've thought about it because the hours in Hawaii, right? You can get different hours of trading, maybe that fit my schedule a little more. But no, I haven't.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
No, so I have thought about it for that reason, but no, I've never tried them. I feel like I'm so locked into options in my strategy with it. Like, I don't even want to like step away from the ATM, so to speak,
Yeah,
like,
no, I get that.
I'm just trying not to mess anything up for a while,
I 100% agree.
And then I could trade them both, but I would be on the screens 24/7. Like, I got stuff to do.
Well, here's the thing though, because I think a lot of people think trading futures is like, all right, you're trading like all the time. Like not really. Like you could still trade, during the market hours. That's obviously when there's the most volume. But one of the guys that we trade with, Mo. So Noah and I started trading futures like last summer. Noah started in November, I think. So we've been trading futures like primarily for months now. And he sees us trade futures every day. And finally, last week, I think it was, he opened an account and he starts trading futures. And Mo's like, I can't believe I wasn't trading futures. It's like when you go from trading options to like, especially the reason I say this is because, and this is going to apply to anybody who trades using primarily supply and demand based strategies. Like you're trading based off of levels, right? And so when you are trading 0 days, you're fighting a losing battle because you may have a level, but because of the implied volatility and theta, you could be, as you mentioned, right and still lose money. But with futures, if you could literally just trade the price, like thinking about it as just, buying and selling the stock, don't you think that would be an advantage to you? I mean,
yeah, I do. And I know a lot of people who move to futures and they have good success and they don't come back to options, but
are you scared that's going to be you?
maybe
You're going to leave
I
your
don't know.
you're scared
I could do it, but
you're scared you're going to leave your options people in the dust and you're going to become a futures trader.
Nah. I don't know. Part of it's just like not wanting to step outside my comfort zone, maybe.
Me and or Alejandro and I, we're very similar to like Jehovah's Witnesses, where like we come around to people and whatever I know that you have something that works, and that's great and good. But have you heard about this? Because it really is great. That's how I feel.
We're trying to put
a lot of times because I'm telling you, man, like I don't know, there's something. Something about it. I think. No, I think
I'm the king of blocking that stuff out, dude.
No, look,
there's so many good strategies out there, and I don't want anything to do with any of them. You know what I mean? Like,
I would 100%.
That's kind of what it takes, I think.
Yeah,
we had John on the pod.
You guys probably have your own that work really good, and you don't want nothing to do with mine.
Well, I mean, think about it. We interview a different trader every week with a different strategy. If I listen to everybody else, like I'm not gonna have any clue what to do myself. You know what I mean? That's kind of what
your head's gonna be.
You got to be like that. You got to be like that. Yeah. So
I feel like respect. Those are the best traders too.
Yeah. That's
and they're all telling you how good each one of them works. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I preach that for sure. It's like block out the noise, do your own thing, work on your strategy. When your strategy isn't working, look to make it better. Don't look to switch to a different strategy. Like just keep, because I mean, it's like the day you're red and you go on Twitter and you saw somebody who I don't know, hit like a coin lotto, for example, for like coin went crazy today, right? For like 200%, you're gonna be like, oh shit, like should I be like trading more like individual names now? Like should I be trading like art? And then you start doing all this stupid shit that you shouldn't be doing just because you don't have faith in what you got going on. So yeah.
I get that all the time too. Like I'm trading in a group, and it's the day before FOMC. Things are chopping around. Like it's chopping all over the EMAs. People are like, does this strategy suck or what? And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, today it does.
I think Noah said that on one of the episodes we did. Like people want it, like they want a strategy that works, and they want a strategy that works like 100% of the time. Like,
yeah. And they want to be in every move. That's the thing. That's what I try and tell people. Like, people are banking all the time. Like, you'll get your turn. It'll come around to your setup if you wait for it. And they're not going to be in yours, and you're not going to be in theirs, Occasionally, we'll all be in the same one if it looks good enough. But like, we'll all get our turn. It's like just one big musical chairs, You just have to wait for it.
Yeah, being in a trading group does not help with that, as you mentioned. There's like always somebody doing something, and if you aren't serious about like tunnel vision, staying in your zone and not paying attention to what other people are doing, or not letting other people influence you, like in our group, there's 6 traders, and it's like, all right, what if I go like 2 days in a row without taking a trade, or if I or no, you have a recent example. What was it, like CPI, I think,
What about it?
or
Last week?
that yeah, that the rest of us were ripping. Maybe it wasn't CPI,
No,
NFP or something.
yeah. It was
The rest
it was
of us
NFP.
were ripping, like going off. Like it was one of our best weeks.
Yeah.
And Noah just very quietly had a plan. He said, I'm not trading from like Wednesday to until like Friday afternoon or whatever. And he just like came in Friday afternoon and killed it, like hit a winner. But for him to sit there watching everybody else trading so well and like still being able to stick to his plan of, I said I'm not going to trade, so I'm not going to trade. That's
That's how
legit
you do it.
stuff.
That's how you do
Yeah.
it. That's pro style, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's what everybody needs to be focusing on.
You make your rules outside of, I guess, the arena, for lack of a better word. Like you're removed from everything, right? And so when you make your rules, you can use logic and you can be rational and you can say, well, this makes sense. If if X, Y, and Z happens, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit there, because realistically, I know that if X, Y, and Z happens, that's going to be low probability conditions for me to trade. I'm not going to do my best trading. I could win, sure. But the probabilities aren't in my favor, right? The whole point of trading is to stack the probabilities in your favor. And so I say Wednesday, I'm not going to trade until Friday when the probabilities are in my favor. They're not in my favor for the way that I trade, for what I do. I know that Thursday afternoon in particular and Friday morning of NFP is not going to be high probability conditions for me. So it's easy for me to say that, now at 9:00 on a Tuesday when NFP is not for another month and a half. It's easy for me to say that. But then when the time comes and you have ES just running up and down 100 handles like at a time every hour, it's like it's very hard to remember and look back at those rules and say, damn, I said I'm not going to trade, but this setup is right here. I'm not going to trade, but we just had 100 points of range. We might get another 100 points of range and I'm not going to be involved. Like it can be very difficult to look back at those things and like really take them seriously. But I think that you have to if you want to succeed, because you're never going to make, or at least in my opinion, you're never going to make your best decisions when you're under that stress of trying to make money, right? Like when you're under the stress of I need to hit this winner now, whether it's you trade for a living, whether you run a service, whatever it is, you're never gonna. You're not gonna trade your best in those environments. You have to create a plan where you're gonna trade your best, and then stick to that plan religiously, right? And so, I think that like Sia said, that's really the hallmarks of any good trader has to have that sort of discipline if they're gonna succeed. I think that discipline is the only way that you can get yourself out of that break even stage where I know a lot of traders find themselves stuck.
100%. That's what your rules are there for. Like, and how good you can follow them is how good of a trader you are. Like everybody can write down the rules. It's who can follow them the best. That's all it is. And it helps to have a more long-term vision, like catching those whatever 100-point moves you're talking about. Like that ain't going to do anything for you in the long run. It's like it might boost you on the day, but like no one day is going to make or break a real trader's account, Like it's all about just compounding repeatable base hits every day. It's who can do that the best.
So I wanted to ask you, because you said you'll trade during any time of the day. What do you do to keep yourself from over trading?
I have a set of rules I follow. Like I'm looking at the levels and zones, I'm waiting for a break of one, and then I'm looking for a pullback to the EMAs. If we're chopping in between the two levels or zones I'm looking at, then like there's no trade for me. And they come around pretty often. I'll usually get about 2 or 3 opportunities a day, sometimes even like 5. Like, and even that is like, that's a lot of trading, 5 trades a day is a lot. Like that's scalper mode. Some people take 30 and kill it, but for me, I'm looking to take 5 or less usually. And I want those to be in the most high probability times of the day. And kind of my system kind of just tells me that when that is, it's all about just following the rules. Like, you're only over trading if you're breaking your rules to kind of force a trade that isn't really there, right?
That's a good point too. Like taking every setup, right? Because it's like you don't want to have a situation like you said where you have your setup, it's there, right? Like according to your rules, and within your rules that you wrote down. Let's say I'm allowed to take 5 trades a day. I'm at 3. If you see your setup, there's no reason to not take it, right? So I mean, I think that's a good point too, where it's like you don't want to get in the habit of not trading just for the sake of not trading. Like if the setup is there, you got to take it every time, because that's going to ruin your that hinders the long-term expectancy of your strategy if you don't do it every single time. If you pick and choose when I'm going to do it, when I'm going to follow it, and when I'm not, long term that's going to hurt you. Because if you go back in your let's say this is always my favorite example. If you have a strategy that works 70% of the time, you go back over the last 1,000 trades that this setup showed up, 700 times it worked. It works 70% of the time. And you see the setup and you don't take it. Wouldn't theoretically, like the next time that you take it, obviously it doesn't truly work this way, but if you think about it, like the next time that you take it, it's almost like it's less likely to happen, right? Because like it's not going to work a million times in a row. Obviously, each time is independent, so I get that it doesn't work that way, but doesn't that make sense, right? Like why not take it every single time that it shows up? Because when you're picking and choosing, you're going to wind up missing the ones that do really well, and you're going to wind up taking the ones that don't work, and then you're like, this strategy sucks, I need something else, and then you're strategy hopping, right? So just if you've got something and that's the importance of going back and doing that work to find out how many times it works out of 10, out of 100, out of 1,000. Because if you don't, you can't really be confident. If I see this setup 10 times today, it more or less it should hit 7 times, right? Like you don't have that confidence unless you've gone back and done that work and looked over those trades and really can put some data behind it, right? As opposed to just, this worked last time, so I'm going to do it this time. I think it's got to be more work than that if you really want to have something that's sustainable, right? Something that's not just going to work for the week or work with this current trend or, XYZ. I think that's important as well.
Really important. That's like the whole Mark Douglas mindset, right? And I'm a big fan of his. Like I watch all his stuff, read all his books, and that's kind of what he does. It's all about just creating your system and taking every trade that fits it and trading with a size that you're comfortable with to where you will take every trade. You can't be nervous like to take a trade, if the setup's there, you got to take that thing. And if you're scared, you're probably just going too big. As soon as you figure all that little stuff out, it just becomes a lot more easy, and it becomes more of a job as opposed to a day at the casino.
Something I've been working on, and I'm sure you guys have felt this past, and I'm sure every trader listening has. So I come into the day, right? And I've got my setup planned. I tweeted about this the other day. Like basically all I'm looking for is I have a plan of when price gets to X, I'm going to take the trade, right? Expecting, it to move to Y. And if it doesn't, figure out why it didn't work. If it did, awesome. Reaffirm why it did work. But the problem that I've been faced with is when I come into the day with a really good plan, and this is now talking about the opposite of what we were just discussing, which is, when the trade presents itself, take the trade. I'll see the opportunity present itself. For whatever reason, I don't take the trade. I'm hesitant. The trade works out perfectly. And what does my brain do? Automatically, it says, you know what? Now you got to find another trade to make money, because you were supposed to make money on that one and you didn't. So now you got to find another one to make money, or else it's going to be a bad day. And ladies and gentlemen, that second trade rarely ever works because it wasn't planned and it was some bullshit I made up on the fly. And I've started eliminating that and being okay with missing out on money that I know I should have made That to me is more difficult than actually making a losing trade. If that losing trade was, based on a plan that I had. I'm not talking about like a stupid losing trade. That's turning one L into another L. But being okay with missing out on money, being able to say, for whatever reason, I didn't take that trade, mental error, shut down the computer, go do something else, get them again tomorrow. That is one of the most difficult things to do, something I'm working on right now. And yeah, I mean, it's tough, but it's super important, or else, like I said, that second trade does not work. Almost never. And even if it does, you still feel guilty.
Should have reached out to me, man. I literally had this exact problem like a couple of months ago. It's funny that we didn't talk about it. I literally had this exact problem a couple of months ago. And I'm not gonna act like I'm trading Jesus and I solved it 100%. But I've definitely like gotten better with it. I think because what's the best way to, I thought about this for a really long time, because I was having the exact same problem, literally like word for word, the exact same problem. Miss a setup, go search for another one, loses, break the computer.
What's funny? It sounds so stupid when you say it out loud. I missed the perfect setup. I'm going to go look for one that's not as good and then lose and they get pissed.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like,
doesn't make any sense.
Like, how stupid can you be?
Dude, the only way to fix that is to take the first trade, right? Like, there's no other way.
Yeah.
Like, the only way to change that is to take the first trade. So, like, I don't know. I think for people who are trigger shy, maybe if it's tough for you to push the button, just keep that in mind. The next one's not going to be as good. So it's kind of, like, I say that jokingly, but it's kind of true, right? Like the best setup is the right setup in front of your face right now, right? Like, will it work? You don't know that ahead of time. I do know that over the last 1,000 times I saw it, it worked 700. I know that. So you can lean on that, right? In those times where it's difficult to press buy. And I think that that's the important part of having really, not complex, because even before, at the beginning of the pod, Casey was talking about how, his strategy is very simple. He doesn't like to overcomplicate things. Having a strong strategy doesn't have to mean it's super complex and has 18 different layers, but it does have to be very clear and black and white in what situations you're going to do what, right? I think it can't be, there's a level of ambiguity that some people have in their strategies that can give you those situations, put you in those situations where it's like, well, this kind of looks good, but kind of not really. You should be able to look at it and say definitively yes or no, is this within my system or not? And I think that also will help with the problem of pushing the button, because if you don't know, then you're trying to decide while it's moving, and then it gets to your entry and you're still trying to decide, you already lost.
Yeah, with trend traders, it goes like this. Like, we're consolidating between two levels. Say like we're trying to break the previous day's high, right? We break above the previous day's high. If you're on the 2-minute time frame, more often than not, once we break that high, the stock's going to pull back to the 13 EMA and bounce off it. For whatever reason, after the first breakout, the breakout looks real strong. That's the move everybody wants to be in. Like, they want to time that breakout. So when you get those big candles, it looks like you missed it. You're like, oh, I missed it. That's the move I wanted. Now it's overextended. It pulls back to the 13 EMA. That's my entry spot. That's like where most of my money is made. Right there on that breakout, that first pullback to the 13 EMA. Nobody trusts that. They watch it bounce and they're like, oh man, that was the setup. I missed it. And then it goes a little further and they're thinking, okay, well, the second bounce is less likely than the first, So then the second bounce holds and they didn't get in either. Well, now the FOMO is like all-time high. You're missing the whole trend. By this time, you're pretty much near resistance. And then they take that third bounce that's right by the resistance zone and the stock starts consolidating again. And you're like, and you know what you did, but at the same time, you're like, that was an A+ setup, Casey. Like we're above the high of day and we're pulling back to the 13. And I'm like, no, that trade's already up like 100%, you know? Like that was your stop out level. Like that's where the people getting in on the first or second dip are stopping out. And then other traders are entering. So it's just like, it's a common thing. Like you said, you don't trust the first one. You might not even trust the second one. By the third one, you're like, I'm missing the whole trend. I'm jumping in this thing. And then it's just kind of like a never ending cycle. This happens a lot with trend trading. You think trading the trend would be easy, right? It's actually like, it's really hard to trust. You got to trust that breakout's going to hold.
No, trading the trend is hard. I don't know who said it was easy. I think
dude, everybody like, oh, you made money. Yeah, it was a trend day. Like they rush it up. Like who didn't make money? You buy calls or puts and you hold them. But in reality, like there's a lot of people getting smoked on trend days.
Yeah, I mean, even more so, right? To further your point on that third pullback, you're so close to resistance that it's like, well, the stock just moved $5 and now we're only $1 from resistance. So I mean, how hard could it be for it to go one more dollar? I mean, this thing's clearly got strength. It's running. It's
yeah,
up.
like let me.
I know that there's resistance up here, but it's only $1 away.
Yeah, like let me just chip shot this thing. Yeah, let me chip shot this thing right into its hole. It's almost there.
Yeah. So let me just grab this on this pullback and
I'll do that myself too. Like sometimes I'll be like, you know, just blowing it. Like, okay, I missed the trend. I'm going to catch a piece of this thing.
I was going to say, this is pretty much this is becoming a therapy session for all of us.
Dude, we all do the same thing. Like, it's the same problems
it's
over
brutal,
and over.
man. It's brutal. Yeah, it's just like how can you eliminate like some of them? Like, I don't know, like, am I ever going to get to the point where like I don't chase something? Honestly, probably not. Like, but I'm just going to like do it way less than
and
I
way
was
more
doing
responsibly.
it. Yeah, way more responsibly. You know, maybe
for newer traders, I mean, if you've listened to the pod, I forget what episode we're on, but 68. We've done 68. Okay, we've had 67 episodes. We've probably talked about the mental game of trading in 65 of them. When you talk about the mental side of trading, like this is literally like what we mean is like those mistakes that everyone makes. Like I don't care who you are. Most people are going to make these mistakes, particularly if you're newer. And like Alejandro said, it's not about never ever doing that again, particularly if you're going to be in this game for a long time. I'm sure that you're going to make those mistakes again. It's about limiting them as much as possible. And like Casey said, reducing your risk on setups that you do wind up losing, right? Like becoming a better trader doesn't necessarily mean always that you lose less trades. For some people, it is what that looks like. For me, that's what that looked like. But for some people, it just means losing less when you do lose, right? And making more when you do win, right? And so if you're not necessarily making money, and we've talked about this before, it's not always your strategy needs to be completely different. Maybe sometimes it's just how you manage risk, right? You can, if you have really good risk management, you can trade any strategy and you'll probably make money. Like I think Mo exactly is a really good example of that. Like, if you know how to manage risk, you can kind of trade anything. And so I think that that's a really important piece as well of your strategy that you need to
100%. And if you can't manage risk, you're not going to be able to trade any strategy. So it just goes both ways. Like,
great point.
It's everything. Risk management is everything. The market's just itching to take your money. Like, I ain't slamming the table on any trade I take, you know? I'm entering cautiously. Let's put it that way. I'm trying not to lose more than I'm slamming the table, screaming calls, you know? It's just how it works. That's how the market works. The sooner you realize that, the sooner like you won't give away all your money.
Yeah, it's funny how when you think about protecting your capital and you enter trades a little bit more cautiously, like your account, you know, will slowly grow, slowly, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And that, that's like the type of thing where you look back like a month later and you're like, oh wow, like I was able to like, take the account from here to there, pretty comfortably. And I find myself like when I am seeing steady account growth, it's because I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, I just like yesterday was a good day. Like there's no reason to enter this. Like, let's say we'll use a $500 win, for example. Like, all right, just had a $500 win. I'm going to take my next trade. There's no reason to risk $750 on that on this next trade, because I know that that's going to now put me $250 in the red. Instead, what I'll do is I'll risk $200. So even if I lose this trade, I'm still up $300. And I'm confident in my trading that, if I don't get this one, I'm going to get the next one, right? And so that's how you just like slowly build it up and up and up. But when you aren't thinking about the loss and you think, all right, I made 500 yesterday. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. Market looks strong today. Let's risk $1,000 on calls off the open. That's when you get smacked, and then you're red $500. It doesn't work. Like I treat the capital in my account as like a business. It's like it's stupid to risk too much money that's gonna put you in the red, right? Like I'm not worried about, if I would have used double the size, I would have made double the money. I'm way past that. Like I know that mentality, that's not how this shit works at all. What was Peter telling us yesterday? Peter Tuckman, who we had on a couple episodes ago, he said, you're going to be lucky for $1 and wrong for 50. And I've never heard anything truer in my life. You're going to be lucky for $1 and wrong for 50. You're going to be lucky to make $1 in the market. And when you're wrong, you're going to lose $50. It's just how it works. So you got to be like super, super careful with, let me not get too ahead of myself.
That scenario that you described earlier, where you're slowly building up your account and then, you see that you've had a really good stretch and you're like, all right, let me triple my size today. And, because clearly I've got this figured out. And then I'll just do what I just did, but 3x that, and it'll be great. And what I've started to realize is that first segment that you were talking about, where you're slowly building your account, and like kind of in the back of your mind, I could have been like more aggressive and probably built it up more and, be twice at where I'm at, but I did that comfortably. That was pretty easy. I wasn't really stressed out. That it was smooth. That's it right there. Like that is what you're looking for. Like I feel like a lot of times people get that and then they're like, well, okay, I got that. Now let me do this. Let me stop
it's not
doing
sexy enough.
Let me stop that smooth P&L curve that I just had for 2 months and do something different than that. Like that's it. That's what you're looking for the whole time. So like, don't think that when you get there, when you have that 3-4 weeks of success and you're like, okay, time to change things. Don't do that. That's when you lose it, right? I feel like that's 100%. When you blow up the account.
That's when you just keep doing what you're doing, right?
Keep doing what you're doing. If what you're doing is working, just tune it out, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. Like
it's not.
If you're getting like all pumped up, like it, like the weeks where I look back and I'm like, damn, like I made like a ton of money. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was sized way too heavy. Like I was probably doing stupid shit. Like it's really not about, like it's really just about picking your spots and just like making money. It's like not.
Yeah, it's
like you see this shit like, oh, I made, like what, like if you have a huge month or a huge week, like pat yourself on the back, but maybe take that money out of your account and think about, was that realistic to do that repeatedly, or was I just being a hero and did I get lucky? Because as quickly as that money came into your account, it's going to leave twice as fast. But yeah, I think Noah made a really good point there.
I know what did I tell you on Friday, right? Like last week, I literally didn't lose a trade. I had 4 wins. And I felt like I think total like time that I was in trades, like actually having money at risk, might have been an hour and a half total on the week. 4 trades, nice and green. But because of how volatile things were and how much the market moved, I felt like I should have had more. I felt like I should have made more. I felt like I should have done better. And it's like you didn't lose. You didn't lose anything. Like how can you not be, how is that not exciting? How is that not great? How is that not the best possible outcome? Every time that you risked money, you won. Like that's realistically the end goal. So like if you're somebody who's constantly fighting yourself on, I need to make more, or I need to do this, I need to do bigger, better, faster, like that constant friction is just not good for your mental, for something that's already super stressful. You're adding additional stress that's just like unnecessary. You're making it harder than it has to be.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like having that positive attitude, it helps a lot in trading. Like seeing what you did well, kind of being happy with it. You didn't catch the bottom or the top, but you made your little piece and you're happy with it, you know? Like that'll go a long way. Just like you're saying. Like you came into the week, didn't lose a trade. Like that's the end goal.
Yeah, I wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't like, I was happy obviously, but I wasn't like, I felt like I could have done better. I think that some of that is good, obviously, you know, just that constant hunger and drive to, you know, want to progress. But at the same time, realize a win when it happens, right? In the market, realize when you've won. Because I think both monetarily, in terms of like taking profits when you should, and just like mentally, in terms of like the amount of stress that we put on ourselves, and then, you know, finally something works. It's like, you know, take a couple seconds, recognize that you did the right thing, recognize that you did well, appreciate that for a little bit, and then continue. Right? You don't have to constantly be stressing and really wanting much more than what you've got. So
wait, you're stressed? I'm not stressed.
Yeah, right.
You get stressed out?
All right, Casey,
Yeah,
before
Casey, before I was saying too, like as soon as it turns into a job and it ain't very fun and exciting and you're just more focused on following your rules and making some money and closing it down, and it stops feeling like a casino or a dog track, like you're doing good. You're kind of right where you need to be. Exactly.
Before we get you out of here, let me ask you, what is something that you would have told a younger Casey who was just getting into trading? What advice would you give him on what pitfalls to avoid, how to get better? What would you tell him?
Oh, that's a hard one. Basically just drive home the risk management thesis, you know, and follow only like one or two setups. Like that's really all you need. You can be mapping out like support and resistance levels and only playing the break and retest of that. You're going to do better than like 90% of these traders, even the big ones on Twitter. Like you're going to be killing it if you can just wait for that. I tried to learn kind of everything when I first started, and that doesn't work out. You just kind of get overwhelmed. It seems complicated. You turn on YouTube and the recommendations they give you are like, who are these guys and what are they trying to teach me? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, if you can't see through that kind of stuff, like, I don't know. If there's a Lambo in your thumbnail, that ain't the guy you want to listen to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you just got to have basically some common sense and you're going to be okay. Think realistically.
No Lambos over here.
Think realistically, you know? Like,
no Lambos for us. Only subway passes.
Hey, me neither.
Here in Manhattan.
It's Tacomas over here.
I love
unless
it.
Unless it's Frankenbeans. If it's Frankenbeans,
dude.
I'll vouch for his Lambo.
That's a major exception.
Yeah, I'll vouch for Frankenbeans Lambo.
Him and his yacht. You see, he bought a fucking yacht.
He's unreal. I told him, dude, sail over here and pick me up on that thing.
Like, dude, He's a gnarly dude. I don't even know what he's doing. He's like went to Europe or something, and I just saw he bought like a Ferrari. We gotta have him back on. Maybe we'll reach out again to see what the hell he's up to. I don't even care if he's trading anymore. I just want to see what he's doing.
He's
We
serious.
should come to Hawaii and get Casey and Frank in a pod. That's what we should do. That I'm really just looking for I'm looking for an excuse to come out to Hawaii. Really,
He's a
That's
smart
really-
guy, dude. Like, he's so on point with the swings, and he's pulling up this information that, like, I don't even know where he finds it. But you're like, oh, you're kind of making me want to jump in this piece of shit meme stock with you, and then the thing will blow up the next day. Like, and you're like, dang, he's on point. He did it again, and it's just
My favorite was when he had like $1 million in like Amazon calls or something, and they announced like a split. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
he just rocketed.
No, dude, he'll like dig
And
that.
he just, like he and Frank, if you're listening, don't take this the wrong way. He is the luckiest motherfucker.
That's
like,
what it seems like. But that's
man-
what I'm saying. He's smart as hell. Like, he's digging up that information online.
Oh,
and
he's
like, and he
he's
knows
not
what's
playing
coming.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's just cruising around on Wahoo, dude, chilling.
If you don't buy a yacht by accident,
Yeah, that's a great quote. You don't buy a yacht by accident.
yeah, man,
That's
good for him.
All right, Casey,
Yeah,
it was
we'll get
an
there.
absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. This was sick. Lots of good conversation. I'm glad that our listeners got the chance to listen and learn from you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Noah, another phenomenal episode. I'll see you next week for episode 69.
Yep. Take care. See you guys next week.